Hi, everyone. Welcome to English with Caitlin, an English listening podcast. Today's episode Voice Phishing. Today's story comes from a subscriber. I think this story is important to talk about. We need to be careful. The topic for today is about voice phishing. What is voice phishing? Voice phishing is when bad people make phone calls to try and get money or personal information from others. Have you heard of it? I never answer my phone, so thankfully I have never experienced voice phishing. But these days, the bad people, the voice fishers, are getting better. They are always thinking of new ways to try and steal from others. An example of voice phishing is if someone calls you and pretends to be your bank. They tell you that they need your bank information. You believe them. You really think that it is your bank. So you give them your password and bank number and information, but it isn't your bank. It is a bad person trying to steal your money. That is voice phishing. So, what if you answer the phone and someone says they are from your bank? Hello, this is Sarah from your bank. There are some problems with your bank account. Please give your information now to fix the problem. What can you do? First, you should hang up the phone in the call. Instead, find the real phone number on your bank's website and call them. Ask the official bank worker to check about these problems. The official bank worker will tell you there are no problems. Voice fishers will try and trick you. They are smart and will pretend to be someone they are not. They will use many different strategies to try and trick you. A strategy is a plan or a way to get to a goal. Some voice fishers will use aggressive strategies. Aggressive is when someone is very forceful. They act in a way that is rude or angry. The voice fishers will be aggressive by yelling and saying rude things to you. Today's story is from a subscriber. He said the voice fishers were very smart. They pretended to be from the government. Let's listen to his story. Okay, let's start. This subscriber sent me his story. I will read the story from the email, so let's listen to the subscriber's story. Later, I will talk about some of the difficult words from the story. Hello, Teacher Caitlin. I am writing this email from South Korea. Can you talk about voice phishing? I had a bad experience with voice phishing. I want to tell you my story. My voice phishing story happened about 2 weeks ago. I was at work when I got a call. I answered the phone and it was someone pretending to be an investigator. But at that time, I didn't know. I thought they were really an investigator. The investigator, but actually a voice fisher, told me that someone had opened 2 bank accounts under my name. The person who opened the bank accounts made a lot of debt, and now there were lawsuits against me. Everything was under my name. The investigator told me to listen to him. I had to follow his instructions. He said I needed to cooperate with this investigation. It was a big problem and very scary. I really thought he was an investigator, so I listened to him. During the call, he did not ask me for any personal information, but he did use intimidation. He would raise his voice and tell me how serious the investigation was. I didn't want to go to jail, so I followed his next instructions. He wanted me to go and buy a new phone. I'm sure now it was so that he could get my information, but I was so scared. I got off work early so I could go and buy a new phone. I went to a phone store that was nearby. The whole time I was still on the phone with the investigator, Voice Fisher. I told him I was going to the phone store and he told me not to hang up the phone. I put my phone on mute so that he could not hear me and I went into the phone store. I think at that moment I realized how strange everything was. Why should I buy a new phone? How would buying a new phone help this problem? I didn't want to buy a new phone. I asked the phone store worker if he thought it was voice phishing. The worker said yes, it is voice phishing. He suggested that I go to the police station nearby. I thought that would be a good idea. I left the phone store to go to the police station. I went inside the police station and talked to a police officer. The police officer said to hang up the phone. At first, I didn't want to hang up the phone. I was really worried. The police officer hung up the phone for me. He told me it was voice phishing. Many people have had this situation happen to them. He checked my phone for any viruses and told me not to answer if the voice phishers called back. Everything was okay. I didn't have extra bank accounts. I didn't have debt. I didn't have lawsuits against me. It was all a lie. My bank and phone were thankfully okay. That was the subscriber's story. A very stressful story. I don't know what I would have done, but I am thankful that everything was okay. Let's talk about some of the words from the story. There were many difficult new words from the story. Let's talk about it. Okay, let's talk about some difficult words from the story. I answered the phone and it was someone pretending to be an investigator. Investigator. The voice fisher was pretending to be an investigator. An investigator is someone who looks into problems or crimes. They are looking for the truth to solve something. That is their job. The person who opened the bank accounts made a lot of debt, and now there were lawsuits against me. Debt is money that you owe, money that you need to pay back. A lawsuit is a legal way to solve problems between people or businesses. You go through official steps with the court. The court is where judges work. For example, if there is a car accident and you think it is the other person's fault, the other person did it, you might file a lawsuit to ask them to pay, to give you some money. You can't just ask them to give you money. A lawsuit is the legal way to solve the problem. He said I need to cooperate with this investigation. To cooperate is to work together with others for a goal or to help with something. But he did use intimidation. He would raise his voice and tell me how serious the investigation was. Intimidation means to make someone feel scared or worried. They try to make you feel scared or powerless with what they say or what they do. With here in the story, he used intimidation. He raised his voice loud and he was saying how serious everything was. Intimidation. That is all for today's episode. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can send your stories to my email. I would love to read more stories. That is all for today. I will see you next time for the next episode. Bye bye.